What if the most powerful moment of your entire day is not when you wake up, not when you work hard, not when you hustle and grind, but those silent, sacred 5 minutes right before you close your eyes and fall asleep? What if everything you have been struggling to achieve, every dream that feels just out of reach, every healing you have been desperately praying for, what if all of it could begin to shift tonight, in those final quiet moments before sleep takes you? What if your subconscious mind has been waiting every single night for you to give it the right instruction, and you have been accidentally giving it fear, worry, regret, and doubt instead? What if you have been programming yourself for struggle every night without even knowing it? And what if just 5 minutes, 5 simple, intentional, powerful minutes, could completely rewire your mind, redirect your life, and begin manifesting the reality you have always deserved? Stay with me until the very end of this, because what you are about to hear is not motivation, it is a life-changing truth that most people will never discover, and it could change everything for you starting tonight. What if the greatest transformation of your life has never required more time, more money, more sacrifice, or more struggle, but simply the deliberate, conscious, intentional use of the last 5 minutes before you surrender to sleep every single night? Think about this for a moment. You have been sleeping your entire life. Every single night, without exception, you close your eyes and you hand over the reins of your conscious mind to something far deeper, far more powerful, far more creative than your waking awareness. You hand yourself over to the subconscious mind, that vast, infinite, tireless intelligence that never sleeps, never rests, never stops working. And the question that should shake you to your core is this: what exactly have you been handing it to work with? What if every night you have been going to sleep replaying arguments, rehearsing fears, calculating anxieties, and drowning in the mental noise of everything that went wrong today, and your subconscious mind, faithful and obedient as it is, has been spending those 8 precious hours building more of exactly that into the architecture of your life? Because here is the truth that will either disturb you or liberate you, depending on how deeply you are willing to receive it. Your subconscious mind does not judge, it does not evaluate. It does not say, wait, are you sure you want this? It simply takes whatever you give it with emotional intensity and repetition, and it builds your reality around it with extraordinary precision and loyalty. This is not philosophy. This is not spirituality dressed up in poetic language. This is the documented, studied, experientially confirmed reality of how the human mind operates. The subconscious mind is most impressionable, most open, most receptive in those final moments before sleep, when the analytical, critical, doubting conscious mind begins to quiet itself and step aside. It is in that sacred window, that holy threshold between waking and sleeping, that the doors of your deeper mind swing wide open. And the most profound, most urgent, most immediately actionable thing you can do with that open door is walk through it deliberately. What if tonight, not next week, not when things calm down, not when you feel more confident or more worthy, but tonight, you decided to consciously choose the last thought you carry into sleep? What if you decided that those 5 minutes belong to you, to your healing, to your abundance, to your growth, to the version of yourself you have been quietly dreaming of becoming? I want you to understand something about the nature of affirmations that most people completely misunderstand. Most people hear the word affirmation and they think it means standing in front of a mirror, forcing a smile, and saying things they do not believe in a hollow, mechanical, disconnected way. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Then they conclude that affirmations do not work, but the affirmation was never the problem. The feeling was absent. What if the affirmation is not the words themselves, but the emotional reality you create when you speak those words? What if the power is not in the sentence, but in the sensation, the actual felt experience of already being, already having, already living the truth of what you are affirming? Because your subconscious mind does not speak the language of words, it speaks the language of feelings. It responds to emotional frequency. It moves in the direction of whatever carries the most emotional charge and repetition. This is why fear manifests so powerfully in people's lives. Not because the universe is punishing them, not because they are unlucky, but because fear is one of the most emotionally intense experiences a human being can have. And when you go to sleep drenched in that emotional intensity, you are essentially giving your subconscious mind a very clear, very passionate, very detailed instruction to create more circumstances that will make you feel that way. But here is what should fill you with absolute wonder and genuine excitement. This same mechanism, this same faithful, powerful, responsive process works equally well for love as it does for fear. It works equally well for abundance as it does for scarcity. It works equally well for healing as it does for illness. It works equally well for confidence as it does for doubt. The subconscious mind has no preference. It is not on the side of your suffering. It is not invested in your limitation. It simply follows the instruction you give it with the most emotional intensity and the most consistent repetition. And you have the ability to change that instruction tonight. What if healing was available to you, not through the medicine cabinet, but through the medicine of your own mind, consistently administered in those 5 minutes before sleep? What if the science of psychoneuroimmunology, the documented research, peer-reviewed understanding of how thoughts and emotions directly affect the immune system, the nervous system, the hormonal system, what if that science has been quietly telling us for decades that the mind is the most sophisticated pharmacy in existence, and the prescription is thought combined with feeling? Your body is listening to every word you say to yourself before you sleep. Your cells are receiving the emotional broadcast of your nightly self-talk. When you go to sleep telling yourself you are tired, broken, behind, failing, unworthy, or sick, your body receives that as instruction and continues to organize itself around that reality throughout the night. But when you go to sleep speaking to yourself with the language of wholeness, of strength, of possibility, of gratitude, of love, when you feel those words rather than merely recite them, your body begins to reorganize itself around a different reality. Your nervous system shifts from the defensive, contractive state of stress into the open, receptive, restorative state of healing. And your subconscious mind, working faithfully through those hours of sleep, begins to build new neural pathways, new belief structures, new emotional defaults, all aligned with the affirmation you carried into sleep. What if gratitude is the single most powerful state you can enter before sleep? Not forced gratitude, not performed gratitude, but genuine, felt, heart-centered appreciation for the specific things in your life that are real and present and good, however small they may seem. Because gratitude does something extraordinary to your vibrational frequency. It shifts you from the frequency of lack, which says, I do not have enough, I am not enough, life is not giving me enough, into the frequency of abundance, which says, good things exist in my life, good things are real, good things are already here. And your subconscious mind, operating on that frequency through the night, begins to seek out, recognize, and attract more of what matches that frequency into your waking experience. This is not magical thinking. This is the law of resonance. You attract what you are, not what you want. And what you are is largely determined by what your subconscious mind has been told you are, most powerfully in those final moments before sleep. What if you began tonight with something as simple and as profound as this? Closing your eyes, placing one hand on your heart, breathing slowly and deeply, and saying to yourself with genuine feeling, I am at peace, I am grateful, I am healing, I am abundant, I am guided, I am loved, all is well in my life. I trust the process of life. My body knows how to heal, my mind knows how to create, my spirit knows the way. And what if you did not rush through those words, but actually paused on each one and let yourself feel the truth of it as deeply as you possibly could? Because the feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the command. The feeling is the creative force that your subconscious mind will carry through the night and weave into the fabric of your tomorrow. What if this is why some people seem to wake up consistently in a good mood, consistently inspired, consistently moving toward their goals, not because their circumstances are so much better than yours, but because they have, consciously or unconsciously, develop the habit of entering sleep in an elevated emotional state? And what if you could develop that same habit, not over years of discipline and struggle, but beginning in the next 5 minutes before you sleep tonight? I want to speak to you about identity for a moment, because this is perhaps the most profound dimension of what happens in those final minutes before sleep. Your self-concept, the deep core belief about who you are and what you deserve and what is possible for you, is not fixed. It is not written in stone. It is not determined by your past or your childhood or your failures or the opinions of other people. Your self-concept is a story, and stories can be rewritten, but they can only be rewritten at the level of the subconscious, the level that is most accessible in those sacred minutes before sleep. What if every night you began to tell yourself a different story about who you are? Not a fantasy, not a denial of reality, but a deliberate, chosen, emotionally charged declaration of the truth of who you are at the deepest level of your being. I am a person of deep wisdom and creativity. I am a person who attracts good into my life. I am a person who is worthy of love and success. I am a person whose presence uplifts others. I am a person who is becoming more every single day. When you repeat these declarations with genuine feeling, night after night, your subconscious mind begins to accept them as fact. And once your subconscious mind accepts something as fact, your behavior, your choices, your opportunities, and your circumstances begin to reorganize themselves around that fact. This is the process of genuine transformation. Not the surface level change that comes from willpower and discipline alone, but the deep, lasting, effortless change that comes when your identity at the subconscious level actually shifts. What if the universe has been trying to give you everything you have been asking for, but your subconscious programming built up through years of unconscious nighttime thought patterns has been quietly blocking the very things you consciously desire? And what if those 5 minutes before sleep are the key to unlocking that block, the simplest, most accessible, most powerful tool for alignment that you have ever been given? There is something deeply sacred about the threshold of sleep. Ancient wisdom traditions across every culture have recognized this. The Egyptians called the dream state the realm of divine instruction. The Greeks believed that the gods spoke most clearly in the space between waking and sleeping. Indigenous traditions around the world treat the act of entering sleep as a spiritual ceremony, a daily opportunity to commune with the deeper intelligence of life and receive its guidance, healing, and creative power. And science is now catching up to what wisdom has always known. The hypnagogic state, that transitional state between full wakefulness and sleep, is characterized by theta brainwave activity, the same brainwave state achieved through deep meditation, hypnosis, and profound creative flow. In theta, the critical mind steps aside and the subconscious mind becomes directly, immediately accessible. What you introduce into your consciousness in that state bypasses the filters and the doubts and the objections of the analytical mind and goes directly into the deeper programming of who you believe yourself to be and what you believe is possible. This is why those 5 minutes are not just a nice habit or a relaxation technique. They are a daily appointment with the most powerful creative force in your life, your own subconscious mind, at the moment of its greatest openness and receptivity. What if you made that appointment every single night without exception for the next 30 days? What if you committed to spending those final 5 minutes not in anxiety or distraction or mindless scrolling, but in deliberate, felt, grateful, identity-affirming communion with the deepest part of yourself? What changes would you begin to notice in your mood when you wake up, in your energy throughout the day, in the quality of your thoughts and the direction of your choices, in the opportunities that begin to appear in your life, in the way your body feels, the way your relationships feel, the way your future feels? Because it does not require a perfect life to do this. It does not require that everything be going right. In fact, this practice is most urgently needed and most powerfully effective, precisely when things are most difficult, when the fear is loudest, when the doubt is heaviest, when the circumstances feel most impossible. Because that is exactly when your subconscious mind needs a different instruction most desperately. That is when the 5 minutes before sleep become not just a self-improvement exercise, but a genuine act of courage. The courage to choose a different thought when everything around you seems to be saying otherwise. What if courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to speak love to yourself anyway? To speak abundance to yourself anyway? To speak healing to yourself anyway? To choose in those final conscious moments to plant a seed of possibility rather than a seed of fear, trusting that your subconscious mind will water it faithfully through the night? I want you to understand that nothing extraordinary is required of you to begin this. No special equipment, no particular talent, no years of spiritual practice, no perfect circumstances, only willingness, only the decision that those 5 minutes belong to you, to your highest self, to your deepest healing, to your most authentic becoming. Only the commitment to close your eyes tonight with intention rather than accident, with love rather than fear, with gratitude rather than complaint, with possibility rather than resignation. Your subconscious mind has been working every night of your life. It has never taken a night off. It has never gotten tired or bored or discouraged. It has been faithfully, tirelessly building your reality around whatever instruction you have given it, consciously or not. And tonight, that same faithful, tireless, powerful force is ready to receive a new instruction, a better instruction, an instruction that reflects not who you have been, but who you truly are and who you are becoming. What if tonight is the night everything begins to shift? What if tonight you close your eyes carrying gratitude instead of grievance, wholeness instead of lack, love instead of fear, identity instead of confusion, possibility instead of resignation? What if those 5 minutes tonight are the beginning of the most significant transformation of your life? They can be, they will be, if you choose them. Your subconscious mind is ready, your deeper self is waiting, the universe is listening. All you have to do is begin tonight, because it does not require a perfect life to do this. It does not require that everything be going right. In fact, this practice is most urgently needed and most powerfully effective, precisely when things are most difficult, when the fear is loudest, when the doubt is heaviest, when the circumstances feel most impossible. Because that is exactly when your subconscious mind needs a different instruction most desperately. That is when the 5 minutes before sleep become not just a self-improvement exercise, but a genuine act of courage. The courage to choose a different thought when everything around you seems to be saying otherwise. What if courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to speak love to yourself anyway, to speak abundance to yourself anyway, to speak healing to yourself anyway, to choose, in those final conscious moments, to plant a seed of possibility rather than a seed of fear, trusting that your subconscious mind will water it faithfully through the night